President Buhari urges UAE President to lift blanket visa ban. Federal government inaugurates Presidential Transition Council. Plus, United Nations seeks nearly $400 million for Syria quake victims. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Thanks for joining us. First in the news within the week, President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday asked the President of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, to review the blanket visa ban imposed on Nigerians by the UAE government last October. He also asked Al Nahyan to restore the resumption of Emirates airline flight operations in Nigeria, which has been suspended since November 2022. According to a statement signed by the president's spokesperson, Garba Shehu, Buhari pushed for these changes during a telephone conversation with his UAE counterpart, who doubles as the Emir of Abu Dhabi. In another development, President Muhammadu Buhari within the week signed the Establishment Bill of the National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, NIHOTA, into law. This was contained in a statement by Joseph Karim, Special Assistant Technical to the Director General of NIHOTA, Sani Kingiwa, in Abuja. The act established the Institute for Training, Certification and Registration of Hospitality, Travel and Tourism Personnel in Nigeria. According to reports, the agency is a parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, engaged in training, consultancy, research, and publications towards promoting skills and entrepreneurship. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday assented to the Business Facilitation Bill 2022 and 5 other bills passed by the National Assembly. The Senior Special Assistant to the President of National Assembly Matters, Babajide Omoware, made this known in a statement titled President Muhammadu Buhari's Assent to the Business Facilitation Bill 2022 and other bills. According to the statement, the President sent the Business Facilitation Act to the National Assembly to ensure the ease of doing business and transparency, efficiency, and productivity in Nigeria. The Act amends relevant legislation to promote the ease of doing business in Nigeria and institutionalize all the reforms to ease implementation. In the meantime, the president within the week said that he hopes to bequeath to the nation a democratic culture in which the police will not only be apolitical and impartial during the 2023 general elections, but also one in which the process will be peaceful and secure. Buhari, according to a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, reminded the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, of his high expectation for his leadership. He said his expectations is in relation to the provision of requisite security that will engender not just a stable security space ahead of the general elections, but also guarantee the credibility of the exercise. Away from that, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF, Boss Mustafa, within the week, inaugurated a 22-member transition council. The council is charged with the responsibility of handing over power to the president-elect, coordinating security for him, facilitating briefings between government agencies and the president-elect, and coordinating communications between the outgoing president and the president-elect. Recall that President Muhammadu Buhari had last week signed Executive Order Number 14, which provides, among others, the legal framework for the management of the transition process and the handing over of power to the president-elect. The SGF urged the members to put in their best and ensure that the next administration enjoys the finest support to make it succeed. Elsewhere, the federal government is set to introduce a carbon tax policy and budgetary system for the country, in line with the approved Energy Transition Plan as part of the Climate Change Act. Director General DGF National Council on Climate Change, NCCC, Salisu Dairu, disclosed this after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House, Abuja. Dairu said the agency sought and obtained approval to initiate key deliverables contained in the Climate Change Act, including establishing a carbon budget for the country. According to him, the carbon budget will be providing allowances for every government or private entity in terms of how much emissions it may allow, and exceeding those emissions could also attract penalties. Meanwhile, the federal government on Tuesday stated that it will assist Ekiti state government to tackle the ecological issues ravaging some parts of the state. The secretary to the government of the Federation, SGF boss Mustafa, said that the federal government will place the mudslide challenge on Ilewe-Ado Road as a top priority in its ecological support for the state. A statement by the Special Advisor on Media to Ekiti State Governor Yinka Oyebode stated that the SGF gave the assurances during a meeting with Ekiti State Governor Biodun Oyebanji in Abuja. According to him, the SGF assured that the federal government will act on it speedily to avert further disaster. In another development, the federal government within the week reiterated its commitment to the elimination of bottlenecks and promotion of efficient operations at the semi-crack border to enhance trade and economic integration with member countries of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. The Minister of State for Transportation, Ademola Aderoye, re-echoed the government's position at the inauguration of the 3 multi-million naira project executed by the Federal Ministry of Transportation at the Semi-Crack Joint Border Post in Lagos. The project included roofing of 3 walkways for arriving and departing passengers, construction of 20 toilet facilities, and provision of 2 solar-powered boreholes, as well as water treatment plants. Aderoye, in a statement issued in Abuja, hinted that the Semi-Crack Joint Border Post has remained a symbol of integration between the people of Nigeria and the Republic of Benin, stating that the border post has enhanced free movement of persons and goods in the sub-region. In the meantime, Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed on Tuesday said the federal government has started the process of declaring 111 historical sites in the country as national monuments. Mohammed disclosed this in Abuja at the 26th edition of the President Muhammadu Buhari Administration Scorecard Series 2015 to 2023. He said the process of declaring the sites as national monuments had reached an advanced stage and awaiting presidential assent. According to the minister, when the 111 national monuments came on board, they would be added to the existing 65. To judiciary now, where a federal high court in Abuja within the week extended the order restraining the People's Democratic Party from suspending or expelling Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike. The court extended the interim order it made on the 2nd of February, restraining the PDP and its leadership from making suspension or expulsion moves on the governor. Respondents in this suit include the PDP, the National Working Committee of the party, the National Executive Council, its chairman Iyochia Ayu, the National Secretary Samuel Anyanwu, and the Independent National Electoral Commission. Recall that Wike had, through his lawyer Joshua Musa San, informed the courts that the 1st to 5th respondent served him with a counter affidavit they filed in opposition to the suit. Still in judiciary, the Federal High Court sitting in Abakaliki within the week disbanded the Southeast security outfit Ebubwegu in Ebonyi State. The court gave the order on Tuesday. The disbandment was attributed to human rights abuses, extortions, illegal arrest, and use of firearms perpetrated by the security outfit. Meanwhile, Ondo State High Court sitting in Akure, the state capital, during the week sentenced two persons, Ayuba Idris and Tasso Abubakar, to death by hanging for killing a couple. The convicts were arrested by the State Police Command in 2019 for killing one Kwaku and Kwaye and his wife, Tokwe Kwaye, at their residence at Ojomo Akinton Estate along Ilesha Owo Expressway, Akure. The police said the convicts were security guards in the employ of the deceased before killing her and fleeing. They were, however, arrested shortly after. The duo were charged to court on 5 counts of conspiracy, armed robbery, and murder, and the matter has been on since 2019. In education, the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps (NYSC), Brigadier General Y.D. Ahmed, within the week urged corps members enlisted in the forthcoming general elections to stay neutral and adhere strictly to the guidelines of the Electoral Act in the discharge of their duties. Ahmed made his position known on Tuesday while presiding over the closing ceremony of the 2023 Batch A Stream 1 orientation course held at the NYSC Permanent Orientation Camp, Borough Town. He noted that the performance of corps members in previous elections contributed to the credibility of the process, which earned the scheme accolades from local and international observers. Away from that, former President Olusegun Obasanjo within the week blamed the failure of the federal government to produce Nigerian-made satellites on the lack of continuity of policies by his successors. Obasanjo said lack of continuity in policies in the last 15 years had been responsible for the inability of the country to produce its own satellite. The former president stated this in a statement on Tuesday by his special assistant on media, Kehinde Akinyemi, when the management team of Algorithm Limited, led by Chief Executive Officer Rashid Adegoke, paid him a courtesy visit at his Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library penthouse residence. Back here, following the persisting Naira note crisis that took a different ugly toll, I beg your pardon, on Wednesday, aggrieved residents in different states of Nigeria, including Akwa Ibom State, tripped out in protest against the lingering scarcity of the 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira new notes. Commercial banks in different states, including Delta, Oyo, Edo, Ondo, amongst others, reportedly closed down some of their branches, with customers who still possess the old Naira notes stranded at parks, bus stops, markets across the country. Meanwhile, policemen have been mobilized to secure some of the banks in Akwa Ibom State as skirmishes of unrest have been reported at the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) Udoldama over the week, where frustrated businessmen and women displayed chunks of old Naira notes still in their possession and lamented how they will dispose of them with the latest CBN order in force. They complained that the CBN's guidelines on depositing the old Naira notes were too stringent and inhumane, while pleading with the government to have a human face and assuage the plight of citizens. Still in Akwa Ibom State, residents of Ibiakuran, Uran local government area of Akwa Ibom State, within the week expressed delight in Governor Domi Manuel's administration for providing a good road network in the state. Speaking with our correspondent Esther Otoyo, they said the 8.5 kilometers in Duetong Uku, Ibiakuran, and Ekritam communities road, which was abandoned by the previous contractors, had been assigned to Bikers who ply the road noted that the condition of the road was very bad, especially during the rainy season. They solicit with the state government to ensure the completion of the road so that developments can thrive.
It was very bad, very slippery, and if the cyclists are not very very good. I think one will definitely fall down on the road because of the nature of the road. It was very, very bad during the rainy season. I really want to commend the government for at least coming to the aid of the people, people of this area. And I think at the end of the day, people will be very comfortable walking on this road, and not only this road, all other roads that the governments are working on. If this is carried out and it is carried out to the level it's supposed to be, I think it will bring a whole lot of development to the people.
The road was very bad. We cannot drive even machine. The road was upside down. They turned people upside down. So the road was too bad. But now there's a small improvement. When it was raining season, water cross the road. You cannot see road to pass. Even machine, even car, nothing can enter. The water flow everywhere. Even to come to you and buy something and go, they cannot do it because of the road.
Actually, we were suffering on the road, but at the end of it, I think the state government has improved in what they have to do so that the people can live a better life. The suffering was that we normally have gallops on the road. Bikes were suffering, like when you carry someone, you cannot drive smoothly to the person destination. Even motors, some motors normally park here and use their leg for trekking. So by now, as in what I see, there is an improvement. Because the previous company abandoned the road and ran away. So we are just hoping that this one that just arrived will do something better for the people.
Still to come in the news. CBN insists on February 10 deadline. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news. In Africa, a cruise line between Libya and Tunisia within the week was launched for the first time in over 11 years. The Libyan Ministry of Transport said in a statement that the launch ceremony of the cruise line was attended by the Minister of Transport Mohamed Al-Shushubi, the Tunisian ambassador to Libya, Al-Stad Al-Laji, and a number of senior Libyan officials. The statement added that efforts will be made in the future to launch several cruise lines from Libya to several neighboring countries. Recall that 2 years ago, the Libyan government launched a cruise line between Libya and Turkey for the first time in over 20 years, a step aimed at promoting the partnership between the two countries' public and private sectors. Still in Africa, South Africa within the week declared a national disaster after heavy rains left 7 of its 9 provinces flooded, destroying roads and bridges and leaving farmers suffering losses. The National Weather Service predicts that the heavy rains will persist. It said the heavy rains were brought by the El Niño global weather phenomenon, which occurs in the Pacific Ocean. Meanwhile, 20 people were killed and 61 others injured following a crash between a cash-in-transit armored van and a bus in South Africa's Limpopo province. The bus rolled off a bridge into a river below, landing on its side at around 8 p.m. on Monday. Most of the victims reportedly died after being trapped inside the bus. There have been heavy rains in the area. Emergency services are still on the scene with heavy downpours delaying their work. To Kenya now, where President William Ruto within the week ordered the army to join the security operation against armed bandits in the northern Rift Valley region who have killed dozens of people in recent months. It came as the Interior Minister declared parts of 6 counties in the region as disturbed and dangerous, issuing a 30-day dusk to dawn curfew starting from Tuesday. It ordered all people holding illegal guns and ammunition to hand them over to the authorities in 3 days or meet the full force of the law. Meanwhile, more than 100 civilians and 16 police officers have been killed by bandits in the past 6 months, according to the Interior Ministry. Still in Kenya, where President William Ruto within the week hosted a national prayer day to seek God's intervention on challenges facing the country, including drought and hunger. The interdenominational event was held at a stadium in the capital, Nairobi. The Eastern Horn of Africa region is witnessing the worst drought in 40 years, with Kenyan officials saying at least 4.3 million people are in dire need of food assistance. The prayers, however, drawn criticism from people who say the government should be working on mitigation measures instead of holding prayers. Away from that, militants within the week attacked an army outpost and a gold mine run by Precious Stones Miner Gemfields Group in the northern Mozambican district of Menpius in Cabo Delgado province. According to reports, the early morning attack took place on Tuesday in the village of Nairoto. An unspecified number of police and forest rangers were killed in the attack. Menpius District Administrator Iswara Makwina confirmed the attacks but provided no details on casualties. Cabo Delgado has been the epicenter of militant violence since 2017. In the meantime, 8 people were killed after a ferry and a motorized canoe collided on Lake Kivu in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, according to Transport Minister of South Kivu Province, Matthew Malimu. 4 men and 4 women aboard the canoe died in the accident. The canoe was leaving for Nji, an island in the middle of the large volcanic lake, when it collided with the Emmanuel 3, a ferry that shuttles between Bukavu and Goma, the capital of neighboring North Kivu province. On the foreign scene, the United Nations within the week launched an appeal for $397 million to help earthquake victims in Syria, where the disaster has killed thousands of people and left millions more in desperate need of aid. Secretary General Antonio Guterres, announcing the appeal at the United Nations headquarters in New York, said the funds would bring life-saving relief for nearly 5 million Syrians and would cover a period of 3 months. He added that the world body was in a final stage of similar appeal for Turkey. He called on member states to fully fund this effort without delay and help the millions of children, women and men whose lives have been ended by this generational disaster. Guterres also urged that aid workers be allowed to operate freely in Syria, already raked by 12 years of civil war. Still on the foreign scene, the U.S. within the week said it expects Ukraine to launch an offensive against Russia over the next few months as Russian forces continue their fight to seize the city of Bakhmut in eastern Ukraine. Earlier, NATO defense minister gathered for talks on how to step up their military support for Ukraine. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said on Tuesday that he expected Ukraine to conduct an offensive against Russia in the spring. He also said that Russia is introducing a number of new troops to the battlefield, but that many are ill-trained and ill-equipped. In the meantime, NATO Chief Jens Stoltenberg raised the possibility for the first time on Tuesday of Finland joining NATO without Sweden, saying ratifying the two at the same time was not the main question. Parliaments in all 30 members of the military alliance must formally ratify Finland and Sweden before they can be admitted. Turkey and Hungary are the only 2 NATO members not to have done this. Turkey has suggested it could greenlight Finland's bid to join without accepting Sweden into the alliance. Meanwhile, German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock said during a visit to Stockholm that the 2 countries should be admitted before NATO summit in July in Vilnius. Elsewhere, climate activists blocked a road near UK Parliament on Tuesday with a Valentine's-themed protest before being dragged away by members of the public, with police making 6 arrests. Activists from the group Animal Rebellion lit flares as they sat at a table with the Canberra and Champagne flutes on Westminster Bridge in central London. According to reports, one wore a mask with the face of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak in a protest against government subsidies for animal farming and fishing. Other activists sat on the road with placards. Police said they arrested 5 activists for blocking the road and a 6th person for assaulting a protester. Meanwhile, the European Parliament within the week gave its final approval to a ban on new sales of carbon-emitting petrol and diesel cars by 2035, with a view to getting them off the continent's roads by mid-century. European Union member states have already approved the legislation and will now formally nod it into law at an upcoming ministerial meeting. Despite opposition from Conservative members of Parliament, the Parliament's biggest group, supporters of the bill had argued that it would give European car makers a clear time frame in which to switch production to zero. Reports say emission electric vehicles and spur investment to counter competition from China and the United States. This in turn will also support the European Union's ambitious plan to become a climate-neutral economy by 2050 with net zero greenhouse gas emissions. In another development, former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley within the week announced she is running for president in 2024, challenging fellow Republican candidate Donald Trump by proposing a new generation of leadership in Washington. Casting herself as a younger, fresher alternative to the 76-year-old former President Trump, Haley had been hinting at a possible run for weeks and teasing a big announcement on February 15. Meanwhile, she made her presidential aims official a day early on Valentine's Day. Haley is positioning herself as a change maker who can reinvigorate a party and country she says have lost their way in recent years, and she played up her personal background as a way to unite a nation strained by racial tensions. Elsewhere, Moldova during the week reopened its airspace after temporary closure on Tuesday. The latest development comes after Moldova's president accused Russia of plotting her government's overthrow. The accusation has been rejected by Moscow. Recall that last week Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said Kyiv had intercepted a plan for the destruction of Moldova by Russian intelligence. Still on the foreign scene, Germany's defense minister Boris Pistorius says his country has just signed contracts with the arms manufacturing company Rheinmetall to make more ammunition for the Gepard air defense guns that Berlin's already sent to Ukraine. The defense minister said that the German-made Gepard has been used effectively in Ukraine to shoot down low-flying Iranian Kimkez drones, but the anti-aircraft gun is no longer in production. Pistorius noted that it would take months to supply new ammunition for the air defense systems as production lines are restarted. He added that the supply of air defenses and ammunition was a much higher priority for Ukraine than any discussions about providing fighter jets. In business, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, within the week said that there was no need to shift the February 10, 2023 deadline. He said this during a visit on Tuesday to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to discuss the monetary and currency redesign policy of the bank. He said the situation is substantially calming down since the commencement of over-the-counter payments to complement ATM disbursement and the use of super agents. In a related development, as the currency redesign policy continues to generate confusion across the country, the Central Bank of Nigeria has vowed to clamp down on point-of-sale owners who have turned themselves to payment agents to take advantage of members of the public. The Apex Bank described such unaccredited payment agents as fifth columnists whose activities constituted economic sabotage, saying that it would carry out sting operations around the country this week to arrest and prosecute them. The Director, Governor's Department, CBN, Joseph Omoyuku, who stated this while briefing journalists in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, said the sharp practices were discovered after reviews of the implementation of the policy. He said that the POS operators also engaged in the selling of Naira notes for Naira notes to buyers amidst rejection of online payments by some business operators, including petrol stations and supermarkets. In the meantime, the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau, NDPB, within the week said that it is presently investigating over 110 companies in Nigeria over allegations of data breach. This was disclosed by the National Commissioner of NDP, Vincent Olatunji, in Lagos. He said the companies being investigated include banks, telecommunications firms, gaming companies, and online lending companies. The National Commissioner noted that the Nigeria Police Force is presently working with the Bureau on the matter. Meanwhile, the Debt Management Office, DBO, in the week announced that it raised 724.9 billion naira in February 2023 federal government bond auction. DBO said it was a 100% increase compared to the previous year. Reports say the auction, which was held on February 13, 2023, saw a total of 577 bids worth 724.9 billion naira received for the total amount offered of 360 billion naira. The total amount allotted was 771.56 billion naira, with successful bids allotted at marginal rates of 13.99%, 14.90%, 15.90%, and 16.00%. Meanwhile, according to a statement on the DMO's website, it said the auction was part of its efforts to raise funds for the implementation of the federal government's 2023 budget and to finance critical infrastructure projects across the country. Still to come in the news. FIFA says 4 African teams to take part in 2025 Club World Cup. Do stay with us.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian, from issues on politics,
Hello Nigeria, I remain committed.
security, education, health, lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyekan every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
As Nigeria prepares for the general elections holding from 25th February 2023, broadcasters are enjoined to make ethical reportage their watchword. All political programs shall observe the provisions of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code and other extant laws relating to broadcasting. All broadcasting stations must adhere to the principles of pluralism and ensure equitable airtime to all political parties or views. All political programs shall adhere to the general principles of legality, decency, and truthfulness. For the avoidance of doubt, the broadcast of a political campaign, jingle, announcement, or any other form of partisan party identification or symbol ends not later than 24 hours before polling day. Hate speech is prohibited. Be professional. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting. Announcer Management.
Thanks for staying tuned. In conclusion of the news this week, the World Health Organization (WHO) says it is sending teams of trained contact tracers to eastern Equatorial Guinea to try to contain an outbreak of the deadly Marburg virus. More than 4,000 people have been placed in lockdown in Kintem province following the deaths of 9 people and a further 16 suspected cases. The WHO has been holding an emergency meeting of its Marburg team in Geneva. According to reports, the hemorrhagic fever is from the same family of diseases as Ebola, but that no vaccine has yet been developed. The virus's natural host is the African fruit bat, which can pass the virus to primates. Still in health, the federal government within the week said that it has achieved the criteria to stop the treatment for river blindness in Imo, Abia, Enugu, and Anambra states, representing more than 18.9 million people. The federal government said the states joined 10 others that have achieved interrupted transmission of river blindness, enabling Nigeria to stop treatment for more than 28 million people, more than any other country in the world. Reports say the disease commonly known as river blindness, is caused by the parasitic worm Onchocerca volvulus. It is transmitted to humans through exposure to repeated bites of infected black flies of the genus Simolium. Symptoms include severe itching, disfiguring skin conditions, and visual impairment, including permanent blindness. Nigeria reportedly has the largest population at risk for river blindness of all countries globally, with more than 100 million people in 32 states and the Federal Capital Territory affected. Nigeria has, however, also made the greatest strides globally in eliminating the disease. In the meantime, Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, on Tuesday appointed Nigeria's former Minister of Health, Dr. Mohammed Pate, as its new Chief Executive Officer. Dr. Pate will take over as the CEO of Gavi from Dr. Seth Beckley on August 3, 2023. Pate was selected as the CEO following a year-long recruitment process personally overseen by the chair of the Gavi board, Professor Josie Barroso. In a press statement made available to newsmen, Gavi said 344 people across diverse gender and geographical backgrounds applied for the position, but Pate was selected for the position. Described as a proven global health leader with experience at the national and international levels, Dr. Pate will lead Gavi as it continues its work to support routine immunization, outbreak response, and COVID-19 vaccinations around the world. In sports, Charles Leclerc within the week set his sights on trying to win Ferrari's first Formula One driver's title for 16 years this season. Leclerc, who finished second to Red Bull's Max Verstappen last year, said he believed Ferrari had done a great job in their new car, which was unveiled on Tuesday. The last Ferrari driver to win the World Championship was Kimi Raikkonen in 2007, and the team's history since then has been one of near misses. They came closest with Fernando Alonso in 2010 and 2012, and disappointment. Meanwhile, their season in 2022 was a major step forward compared with their lack of competitiveness in the two previous years. Still in sports, Stephen Curry is unwilling to set a target date for his return from a leg injury, but he will not be back for the Golden State Warriors' first game after this weekend's NBA All-Star break. Curry was forced off in the third quarter of 119-113 win against the Dallas Mavericks earlier this month after his knee collided with that of opposing points guard McKinley Wright V. Scans subsequently revealed Curry had suffered tears to his superior tibifibular ligaments and interosseous membrane, as well as a contortion to his lower left leg. While the two-time NBA MVP hopes to return to the court for practice after Sunday's All-Star game, he has ruled himself out of the Warriors' trip to the Los Angeles Lakers on February 23rd. In the meantime, while Real Madrid has just won the Club World Cup in Morocco, a new form of competition will see the light of day in 2025. The competition will bring together 32 teams, including 4 Africans, and will be played every 4 years. FIFA has also decided on the distribution of places by continent. European clubs take the lion's share with 12 places. They will represent more than a third of the participants in the competition, while South America obtained 6 places and Africa will be settling for 4 places, like Asia and North and Central America. In the meantime, the 2023 edition will take place in Saudi Arabia from December 12th through the 22nd, in the presence of the winner of the African Champions League. On entertainment news, South African police within the week say evidence gathered to date leads them to believe the killing of the rapper Aka on Saturday was an assassination. The police commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal province, Nala Mwakanzi, said the gunman had approached Kieran Forbes from behind and shot him at close range in the side of the head. A second gunman then started firing to deter onlookers from getting involved. According to reports, one of these rounds killed the friend with Aka Teams Moswen. General Makwanzi said his officers were still checking the identities of all those at the scene in Durban that night. Still on entertainment news, popular reality TV star Adekunle Olopade on Tuesday indicated an interest in becoming the host of Africa's popular reality TV show Big Brother Naija. The BB Naija Level Up finalist who applied for the role in a public post shared on his Twitter handle declared that he is ready to replace the current host Ebuka Obi-Uchendu in the future. Sharing the application on social media, the 27-year-old tagged the official Big Brother Africa handle to let the organizers know of his seriousness. Adekunle noted that this might be the best time to start learning how the job is done from the current host, Ebuka. Finally, on news within the week, Nigerian comedian and actress Favour Daniel has died. The comedian, who gained prominence on social media for her actions, was reported to have passed away in a boat accident. Elizabeth Daniel, Favour's elder sister, who made the disclosure, said Favour was involved in the fatal accident on February 5th and died shortly after. Meanwhile, many celebrities have taken to the comment section to express their disbelief, pray for the family, and offer support. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do well to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum TV News Within the Week, a recap of major stories. My name is Uyai Aniek, and thanks for watching, and do enjoy the rest of your weekend.